Okay. Okay, testing, testing. Okay. All right. Okay, testing, testing. Okay. All right. Okay, testing, testing. Okay. Okay, so today we are going to be modding the short sword. Okay, so today we are going to be give me just 1 second. Modding the short sword. Okay, so today we are going to be taking our short sword and we're going to be putting it in Substance Painter. I'm probably not going to be doing a very long stream tonight because it's already late, but just to get the thing into Substance and start start painting it, give it at least a couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Start painting it, give it at least a couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Start painting it, give it at least a couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. A couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. A couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. A couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. Couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. Couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. Couple basic textures. That's what I'm just gonna get started on. Just 1 second. Okay, so we're gonna make a new file. We're gonna leave the document resolution at 1024 for now. Okay, so we're gonna make a new file, and then Atrix. We're gonna leave the document resolution at 1024 for now. Okay, so we're gonna make a new file, and then Atrix. We're gonna leave the document resolution data at 1024 for now. Objects, vehicles. Human, objects, vehicles, short sword, human, working, bake, mesh, short sword, and then assembled, working, bake, okay, mesh, short sword, and then oh, that's not right. That's a bunch of stuff that I didn't want to include in there. Oh, that's not right. I'm just gonna re-export real quick. Stuff that I didn't want to include in there. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so we're just going to include the selected objects real quick. Stuff that I didn't file. Want to include in there. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so we're just going to include the selected objects real quick. Stuff that I didn't file. Want to include in there. Oh, that's not right. Okay, so we're just going to include the selected objects real quick. Stuff that I didn't file. Edit project configuration. Select a file. We're just going to include the selected assembled. Okay. All right. File. Edit project see if that'll select a file. Refresh it, which doesn't seem to. Okay. All right. File. Edit project see if that'll. Hang on. Just gonna try a new one. Seem to. Okay. All right. File. Edit project see if that'll. Hang on. Just gonna try a new one. Selected only. Export. Edit see if that'll. Hang on. Just gonna try a new one. View details. Export. Edit see if that'll. Hang on. Just gonna try a new one. View details. There we go. Okay. So here's our guy, and then we're going to start importing the base textures. View details. There we go. Okay. So here's our guy, and then we're going to start importing the base textures. View details. So we are going to go to Edit. We're going to start importing the base textures. So project configuration. We are going to go to Edit. File import resources. That's it. All right, add resources, and then we're going to go to the textures that we output from Marmoset earlier. That's it. All right, add
take all these,
resources, and then we're going to go to the
I'm going to select everything. We're going to
take all these,
mark it as a texture.
we're
We're going to say project.
We're going to take all these,
Mark it as a texture.
we're going to say project.
We're going to
Take all these,
mark it as a texture. We're going to say project.
we're going to
Okay, and so now we have our textures in here. Some of these might be redundant. We're gonna have to go through and
so now we have our textures
so
in
what
here.
Foundry does, the Halo mod tool, is sometimes it creates duplicate textures because it converts like a PNG or a TIFF or a Targa or something into a TIFF file. So we just got to be kind of careful about which one we're using here. Okay, so we're gonna go to so we're gonna go through each of these materials. Let's start with Shortsword Hull.
We're going to go to
So we're going to go through each of these materials. Let's start with Shortsword Hull.
we're going to go to
So we're going to go through each of these materials. Let's
Hull.
start with Shortsword. Load that in.
we're going to go to
So we're going to go through each of these
okay.
materials. Let's start with Shortsword. Load that in. And it's not loading for some reason.
Okay.
Start with Shortsword. Load that in. And it's not loading for some reason.
Okay.
Start with Shortsword. Load that in.
What's
And
going
it's
on?
not loading for some reason.
Okay.
Oh. Load that in. Whoops.
What's going on?
Wrong material. It's been a second since I've had to work with Substance Painter. It's all coming back to me. Bear with me. Whoops. Wrong material. It's been a second since I've had to work with Substance Painter. It's all coming back to me. Bear with
Shortsword
me.
Hull.
Wrong material. It's been a second since I've
Normal
had to
map.
work with Substance Painter. There we
go,
all coming
okay.
back to me. Bear with
Shortsword
me.
Hull.
Wrong material. It's been a
And
second
then
since I've had to work with Substance
file
Painter. There we
edit
go.
project configuration.
Probably want to select DirectX,
then
and there we go. That fixes the
file
normal map.
There we
Edit
go.
project
Okay.
configuration,
And
probably want to
then
select DirectX, and there we go.
all right,
That fixes
plug
the
in
normal
the
map.
curvature map.
Project
Okay.
configuration,
And
probably want to
then
select DirectX, and there we go.
all right,
That fixes
plug
the
in
normal
the
map.
curvature map.
Project
Okay.
configuration.
And then
I don't think it's loading for some
there
reason.
we go. All right, plug in the curvature map.
Oh my god, I am so sorry. Hang on.
And
I don't think it's loading for
over
some
chat and
reason.
realize,
Whoa. Hang on. I'm reading. I'm sorry. Oh my god, I am so sorry.
there's a
Hang on.
delayed double replay of your
Over chat
audio.
and
Oh my
realize-
gosh.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry. I had YouTube off mute. I am so sorry, guys. Okay. That's very strange. I did say I was very new to streaming. So dumb stuff like this is bound to happen. Okay. Is it better now? Okay, good. So sorry about that. Yeah, no, I didn't have chat open in my other monitor. I'm so sorry. But yeah. Okay. So now we're just going to load in all the other textures. So we got curvature. Let's get AO in there. Ambient occlusion. All right, good. Color ID. Color ID map. Oh yeah, the color ID isn't visible. Okay. All right, we got a few things loaded in here. So basically, Substance Painter, if y'all don't know, is basically the industry leading, or at least one of the industry standard tools for texturing your models. It's really convenient. It's really what we call non-destructive, meaning you can kind of like go back and change things very easily without disrupting your workflow or like, you know, having to redo a bunch of stuff. And it's got a lot of really great preset physically based materials that make it look hyper realistic and let you do all these things like dirt, scratch, grime, all that other stuff. So that's basically what we're going to be doing tonight. Again, I'm probably not going to be on for long. It's already late, but I just wanted to get this process started. I'm trying to get into the habit of streaming more regularly. Okay, so let's load in the other material slots. So I also think that my interface is a little too big. Everything's kind of hard to read. Let's see. Shortsword glass new. There's like not a lot of detail here, but I baked out a normal map anyway. let's see. Ambient occlusion, curvature, normal. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Short sword details. Okay. So short sword details should be the underside. Um, curvature, ambient occlusion, and then color ID. Oh wait, normal map. And where's the normal? There we go. And normal, the most important map. Okay. And then short sword Bombay. Short sword Bombay should be here. Yep. We can probably examine, yep, right in here. All right. Okay. Dual wield the streams. I switched to one stream. You were watching RJ and Skaboodly stream at the same time? Yeah. Dude, his map is gonna go so hard. It's crazy. I am actually like genuinely excited to play it. Like I said, I'm not the biggest huge grass fan. Don't roast me in the comments. It's just that map is just too large for the technical abilities of Halo 3, especially with like a very limited player count. But his new map looks a lot more deliberately designed, and I think it's gonna be a lot more fun. At some point, could you please model out the M76 Walleye, aka the Boat Hog? There's actually somebody in the community that's already made a pretty nice Boat Hog. His name is Killzone in the Halo Mods Discords, and he's done a great job. And I haven't checked in on his progress on that project, but yeah, it's already in the works. Okay. Okay, so now we've basically hooked up all of our base materials. Now let's see if we can slap on some generic materials, like start texturing this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this down. Let's see, hang on. Properties pane. Where the heck is hang on. Paint. Geez, my so for context, I have an ultra wide monitor. It usually is not this squished in. Normally it's basically the size of two widescreens, so it's like ultra widescreen. And so it like I can usually see a huge expanse of my screen. So that's why it looks a little crammed in here. Okay. Let's go to Smart Materials, Paint. Let's start with a decent. Yeah, that's good. All right. No, not on you. Let's go down to Short Sword Hull and plop it in there. Okay, so we got a basic smart material here. Now, obviously, this isn't what we want exactly, but we can adjust all the parameters of this material to make it look a lot sharper and, you know, more correct to what our project is. So we're going to open this up, and first thing we're going to do is we're going to change it from red to green, obviously. So there we go. That's step one, and then we got dirt. It's very red dirt. Let's darken it and desaturate it a little bit. Let's also play with the grunge mask and tone it down just a bit. Probably lower the contrast. Lower that down. Level, grunge. Okay. Texture set. And then let's just see what it looks like in 4K. Okay, not too bad. Yeah. A little high contrast in the AO areas. We can still fiddle around with the AO areas. Turn on live redirect in YTube Studio so I can raid you soon. Or live redirect? Bruh, I don't know what that means or where to look for it. Live redirect. Huh. Where is that in settings or something? Channel. You're gonna have to help me out. Look at RJ's message, lol. Sorry. I don't know how to turn on live redirect. I'm sorry. You wiener. Um. Community immersion. You're gonna have to help me out. Where do I look for that setting? Turn on live redirect. How to use YouTube community. Okay, student settings, community. Okay, hang on. Hold on. Community. Community live redirect. Go to YouTube Studio settings, community live redirects. I don't see that setting anywhere. Allow redirects from all channels. Channels I subscribe to a specific channel. Click save. Go to YouTube Studio settings, community. Yeah, I'm in there. I don't see any option that says live redirect. Viewer posts. Mentions. I'm so sorry about this guy. I am literally learning how to YouTube stream in real time. All channels can redirect to my content. Oh, there we go. Live redirect users. Specific channels you can redirect. All channels save. There we go. Okay. Rejected. Come back. I turned it on. I think I got it. I think I did the thing. Okay. I'm gonna keep a tab on that. But I think it worked. In any case, back on the actual texturing.
You did.
It's weird. I also can't really hear my own desktop audio for some reason. Maybe it's my dumb headset that always shuts off for no reason. Yep, that's it. That's why I couldn't hear anything.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just an enhancement to society.
Okay. Thank you, Beam Emitter. Okay, so let's play with the dirt a little bit. We're like 4 years old. We love playing with dirt. Mask builder. There we go. Okay, ambient occlusion. Okay, let's adjust that AO to be a little less intense. level. AO range. And let's see. I'm gonna actually paint, mask builder. Grunge. Curvature. I'm gonna turn off the curvature for now so I can see what I'm doing. Just mess with the dirt a little bit better. Okay. It's looking a little bit better. It's still probably a little too dirty for this. Let's see. Dirt, grunge leaks. All right, let's focus in on just the AO. Make sure that's looking okay and not too terribly much. There we go. That's a lot better. It's like kind of a nice soft corner dirt crevice build up. Okay. Much better. Yeah. And then let's add the grunge. Grunge leak. Okay, so we're getting a lot of weird little spots here. And bro didn't check out the stream. Oh no. Wait, there's a UNSC asset pack that recently uploaded? Huh? Huh? Oh, okay. Grunge, mask builder. Okay, gradient, sure. Okay, whoops. Don't want to mess with that. Grunge, okay. Properties, grayscale tiling. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so here's some grime and grunge, which is pretty helpful. Oh man, that's pretty convenient. It already has like liquid leaks coming off from like a forward direction. I'm voices over of the voiding it right now. JS hit the thumbs up. Huh. Okay. So we don't want this to be too strong. I'm going to take down the opacity a bit. Yeah, it's nice to have like a little bit of like liquid leaky texture, but not too strong. Actually, is this reversed? Tiling rotation 180. There we go. That's a little bit, that makes a bit more sense. I might want to reappropriate this later and make it more like the little air streaks. But that's looking pretty good so far. And then as far as this paint goes, I'm actually gonna make this a white mask. I'm gonna probably darken this a little bit. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. There we go. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, I should probably Atrec data objects units. Right. Data objects vehicles human short sword. Oh shoot, I should probably get some music going. Or maybe, I don't know. Then working paint, and then short sword paint. There we go. Cool. Add some little scratches and burn marks on the engines. Oh yeah, absolutely. We are totally gonna do all that. Will you do a stream for your ported UNSC Firebase? When I get to that, yes. Well, so you're probably referring to like the placeholder Firebases in the game. That is directly ripped from Halo Wars, and I'm going to be remodeling that whole thing like I do everything. So yeah, I will be streaming that when I remodel it. But yeah, that is definitely not going to be in the final mod. Make it look like it was used. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to add... What I like to do is I like to add a little bit of edge weathering. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a fill layer. I'm going to make the fill layer metallic. And then we are going to add a black mask. And then we are going to add a grunge. Actually, yeah, okay. So, gonna pull out this menu. There we go. Masks. There we go. Edges. There we go. And then let's look through these and figure out which one has a nice edge weathering that's not too strong and we can play with a little bit that, yeah, looks just right. Dirt soft edges, that's not too bad, but not just yet. Let's do that one for now. Okay. Okay. So this edge scuff is a little too subtle. What if you add a light camo to the texture similar to modern jets and the Saber? Does the Saber have camo? Does it have a camo pattern? Or is that just like really subtle gray tiling? I mean, like, it is hard to tell with some of the vehicles. I know that in Reach, technically the Falcon has camouflage, but it's so subtle. I don't know. For this thing, I'm gonna reserve the right to add camo later on because that would be like a pretty quick addition to like add a camo pattern. So for now, I'm just gonna make a base flat texture. Okay, let's go ahead and mess with these settings. Global balance. Okay. Attributes, texture. Okay. Okay. Trying to, for some reason, it's not looking quite right. It has to do with the scaling of the texture, the tiling. What AO, what you working on, and why is it not the Nightingale? This, this is the short sword. The Nightingale is a Halo Wars 2 vehicle, and I'm trying my best to keep it strictly Halo Wars 1 for now. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Man, I really don't know why it is... Balance? Contrast? No. Attributes? Parameters? Let's try a different mask. In fact, actually, we might just try a smart material instead of a fill layer. Scratch. Edge? Oh. I hope this isn't... Let's see. Edges damages. Okay, that's what I want. Let's see. And then delete all the rest of that. Okay, edges damages. Okay. And can we get something out of this? Wait a second. We had something and then we lost it. Or did we? That's weird. Is my entire scene just scaled weird or something? I'm troubleshooting. I'm figuring out what exactly the problem is here. So I want... Okay, we got good breakup, but like... Level. Contrast. Grunge. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to... I'm gonna put this above everything else. Take this out of the group. Come on, there you go. Alright. This whole thing gets deleted. We're going to make this into a metallic texture. Okay. Then, okay, now we're making some progress here. Then we're going to see if we can invert this. There we go. That's what I was trying to get at. Okay. Now we have edge scuff. Now we can adjust the edge scuff. So, grunge. Okay. Okay, we're starting to actually finally cook. Okay, curvature. Whoops. I do want it on curvature. Convex range. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Now see, the way I like to weather my models is there has to be some amount of subtlety. Essentially, what I'm doing is on real world objects, when you have a painted object, it will like, especially a piece of military equipment, it will get bumped around and dropped on the ground and scuffed all over the place. And it's usually the edges and corners that will have like the paint get rubbed off and scuffed and scratched and all that. And that's what I'm basically simulating here. This is something that is very prominent on most vehicles. And this is a great way to add a little bit of visual storytelling. So, yeah. Okay. So we just play with all these settings to fine-tune it and get the right amount of grunge. Because too much is a little harsh, and too little is like, come on. We want it to look visually interesting, But yeah, okay. We're finally making a bit of progress. Let's see. Grunge level. That's very helpful. And especially... So another thing is that the Shortsword is actually a pretty large vehicle. It's probably going to end up being the largest vehicle in the entire mod. So we want the weathering and the details to be a correct scale for the vehicle. Another thing is that like while it does see a lot of use, it's also an aircraft. It doesn't get pummeled around like a ground vehicle might. It doesn't experience a lot of dirt. It spends most of its time in a hangar somewhere where it's nice and clean, and only with like tiny particulates in the air does it start to, get paint chips and dirt and all this other crap. So aircraft are relatively clean for the most part, but it's like whatever like dirt and detritus is in the air basically gets swiped across the surface at Mach speed. So, yeah, there's just little chips. I think that's actually pretty good as far as scuffing. Maybe I could increase it on the curvature a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Just something a little bit more even and consistent. Yeah. Actually, that looks really good. And then I might also decrease the contrast, because if the contrast is too high, you start to get that pixelation there. And we don't really need the pixelation. Yeah, that's starting to look good. I just learned my old Halo Wars 2 mod has a bug where you can spam Commander Jerome. Nice. I mean, what's wrong with that? I failed to see the problem. Okay. All right, so that's a pretty good base texture. It's a little shiny though. Why don't we take the shininess down, or rather increase the roughness, so it's that nice like military dull OD green. Okay, now we are going to take our let's bring the actual edge scuff down into the group, and we're going to actually mask this entire green portion to our color map. So let's go ahead and say add black mask. Then we're going to say add color selection. And we're going to pick our color. And this is our color ID mask. So it designates which materials go where. And so we have green here. So we're going to pick that. And now it's masked only to wherever there is green in the green channel. And then we're going to adjust the tolerance so it's not quite so pixelated. Actually, let's adjust the hardness. Yeah. There's a lot of subtlety you gotta mess with. And then another way we can like... Actually, no, we're in 4K, so... Well, you know what we could do to help this pixelation is add a blur modifier. Add filter. Add filter. And then the filter is going to be filter blur. And then we can adjust the blur amount. And then it looks less pixelated. I'm actually go back and make a more high contrast color map, but for now, that's pretty good. Hey, unrelated note, are you going to add mask to the Marines and small backpack, just like the original Halo Wars? Yes, I am. There might be some Marines that have, like, you know, their face exposed just for variety, because it would look kind of weird to have literally every single Marine have a full face balaclava. But yeah, no, I'm definitely going to have the majority of Marines be full-faced, and give them their cool little haversacks or whatever. Also good to remember, the short sword is not exo-atmospheric, so that would mean the majority of the hull would have a higher level of environmental reflectivity compared to the ground vehicles. The short sword is exo-atmospheric. I don't know. I don't know the lore. Yeah, I really don't know. I would say, given that the short sword has a, you know, typical green color scheme, unlike the longsword, which has a black color scheme, one is primarily meant for space and the other is primarily like ground support. So I think the short sword, if I were to hazard a guess, is going to spend more time in atmosphere than the longsword. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see, short sword glass. This is going to be an easy one. So, real quick, let's just give the glass some texture. Glass. Actually, gold armor. Perfect. There we go. I'm not feeling that one. We're going to do this a little bit from scratch. Hang on. No. Yeah, I'm just gonna add a basic fill layer from scratch. Okay, so let's go ahead and make this gold, like everything in Halo Wars is, metal and rough, hypermetallic and 0 roughness. Then we are going to actually go back to our short sword hull material, and open this up, and we're going to copy the dirt into the glass. So on top of this, we're gonna add dirt, and look at that. Hey, that's pretty slick. Grunge leaks. Let's isolate that and play with the AO crevice dirt. Grunge. Let's lower that. AO. Let's crank up the AO. See if we can like get it to show up a little bit better. Man, it really doesn't seem to... Doesn't really seem that prominent. In terms of color, at least. Yeah. Dirt. But, by the way, did you know that no character in Reach is wearing sleeveless clothing? So there are no forearm textures. Yeah, that's pretty consistent with most of the Halo games. I think the only real Halo game that has, like, Marines with rolled up sleeves is Halo CE. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, like, I've seen some people basically rip a generic model that has, like, you know, some muscly arms and roll up their sleeves and do that for some more, like, tropical weather type BDU Marines. Contrast, yeah, let's lower that. There we go. That's what it was. AO. And then... yeah. It's all a balancing act. There we go. Grunge. Let's make the grunge relatively subtle. Alright. There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Now we can start to dial it back just a little bit. There we go. That's looking good. Grunge leaks. Let's see if we can change that tiling. Really? I don't know if it... there we go. 50 looks a little bit more appropriate. Okay. So that's a pretty nice visor. Okay, so let's go back to hull. So there's basically the way I kind of break most of this up is there's colored paints and then there's bare metals, usually for most Halo vehicles. You have shiny metals, light colored metals, dark colored metals, and then you have just paints. So we're going to go through and basically we're going to duplicate this entire layer. And we're going to do red paint, yellow paint, white paint, so on and so forth. So this is going to be our red paint. Let's make that a little bit less intense. And then we are going to switch this color and select red. Cool. And then we're gonna duplicate that. We'll call this red paint. Yellow paint. The sensor array beneath the cockpit feels like teeth. Yeah. It looks pretty weird. These are all pretty weird designs, but like that's the fun of like remaking them to make them look a little less goofy, or at least try to. Yeah. I think like some of them are really cool, but others are like, ooh. All right, that was yellow paint. Oh right, we got to change the color mask. There we go. There's green. Cool. All right, yellow paint. Duplicate. White paint. We're gonna remove that. Pick. Yeah. This is supposed to be white paint. And then go into the material. Change this to white. I always tone down the white to be like a very light gray, because if it's like pure white, then it's gonna be like glowing in the texture in game usually. So, all right, white paint, and then now we can move on to the actual bare metals. I'm gonna say metal light, and then I'm gonna go in here. Well, first of all, let's change the thing there. Pick color. Oh wait, we're not on the right layer. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and collapse this group, cut it, and then I'm gonna go to short sword details. There we go. Then I'm gonna go in here, paint, and this is actually going to be metallic. There we go. Beautiful. So that's our metal light. Duplicate that. Metal dark. Actually, you know what? There's probably a better dark metal just in the smart materials. We search. What's this? Steel ruined. I want a slightly duller metal. Yeah, let's try that. Okay. Brighten it up just a little bit. Scratches. Guts. Interesting. Substance material mode attributes. Why can I not change this? I'm gonna get rid of that. There we go. Custom. All right. Oh, duh. And we can switch this material to 4K. That material is already at 4K, which surprises me, because, dang. This is a very large vehicle. I keep forgetting. base color. Yeah, sure. Details. Metal light. Steel gun matte. There we go. Let's make it a little bit darker. Scratches sharpen. Then let's go ahead and grab the dirt. Actually, we can probably put the dirt above these two groups. There we go. Because it's going to cover everything. Yeah. Oh, another thing we can do. Just a little enhancement that I like to put on is, let's see. I'm going to make a fill layer, and its base color is going to be short sword hull curve. All right, and I'm going to not have anything except diffuse there, and this is going to be, let's try overlay, and like make this 25%. And that, let's kick it up to 50. That just adds a little bit more definition. You can makes the details pop a little better. Yeah, there we go. When the back of the engine shiny metal be shiny metal because the hot exhaust burning off all the dirt and impurities. Yeah, I'll get there. Don't worry. Like, this entire area is absolutely going to be, like, it's not going to have all this edge scuffing. It's going to be very clean. That's a good catch. Okay. And then, short sword details. Scratches. Metal edgeware. Yeah, there we go. That looks a lot better. Cool. And then dirt. Dirt, maybe we can add a little bit more grunge. That's grunge leaks. Just give more character. Cool. I usually multiply the A over the top. That's, yeah, I do that too. Why don't we just go ahead and do that real quick? Curvature. Overlay. AO. And then switch this to the AO map, and instead of overlay, it's going to be multiply. And let's see, do we want... I'm going to say that will also affect the roughness as well, except... Wait a second. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. There's going to be other ways to affect the roughness. Okay. See what it looks like in the flat lighting view. Yeah, there we go. without any lighting. I always like to see and make sure that it, without any actual lights, the texture still looks good. That does make it look a little bit more stylized in the end, but as long as like this kind of flat color stylization is subtle enough, then it will still look good in a PBR environment. Hello, Rejected Shotgun sent me and others to call you bald. Okay, sure. I have an incredibly thick head of hair. In fact, I actually tend to have too much hair. It doesn't do what I want. It doesn't behave itself. And when I go to the barber, you know, people call friggin' animal control. Hello, very handsome man with lots of hair. Hello. Hey, Doodle. Good to finally make it to a stream. What are you working on? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Viewers are bumping up. Thank you, Drake. So I am working on the Shortsword from Halo Wars. This is, you can probably Google it and find lots of promo art, but basically I'm making a playable Shortsword that is going to be playable in both Reach and Halo 4. For context, I have a mod that I'm calling Halo Wars Frontline. It is essentially going to be Halo Wars in first person. Originally, I started using the Halo Reach engine for the project, but then I switched over to the Halo 4 engine just because the 4 engine is so much more advanced. Don't worry, though, because I know a lot of people don't like Halo 4, and that's fine. I'm going to completely overhaul Halo 4 to not even be Halo 4 anymore. It's going to be its own game. It's going to have custom sounds, custom custom damage models and animations and gameplay and everything. I'm going to make it feel as classic Halo or as close to either... I think in terms of gameplay, I might want to do a blend of Halo 3 and Halo Reach in terms of like gun feel, in terms of locomotion, because I know that those two games are very different, but they're also like the favorites among fans. So if I can find a healthy balance between the two, I think people will enjoy it. I mean, in any case, though, the main focus is going to be the vehicles, obviously. Halo Wars 3, Electric Boogaloo, hell yeah. Okay. Alright, I'm going to go to details. So, this dark metal, gun steel mat, let's put that in here. Bring you underneath all of this stuff. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty good, if I do say so myself, and I do. If I look at color ID. Okay, so that's supposed to be the kind of neutral metal. So let's go back to details, metal light. I'll copy that. Go back to hull, steel gun mat, metal light, put that on top. Go back to material. All right, metal light. Yeah, there we go. Even the ailerons are starting to look nice and metallic and shiny. Basically, I'm going to get the base materials slapped down, and then I'm going to cover this thing in, like, speed lines. And by speed lines, I mean, like, you know how if a bug hits a car, you know, hood, it basically streaks across in, like, this long line? I'm going to do lots of that on this thing. I've gotten Halo 5 models working in here. I have ways. Yeah. Let's see. What actually is causing that? Metal light is... Wait. Ah. we're going to go ahead and hide the edge scuffing on the metal light because it's already bare metal, so... Yeah. And then here, go back to short sword hull. And so, like I said, edge weathering tends to happen on, well, the edges. And so it doesn't tend to make its way down into these deep crevices. So we're going to go ahead and mask those out. We're going to, let's see, in the green, white paint, yellow paint, red paint. You know what? Steel scrape dirty. I'm going to say green paint so I know which one I'm looking at. I'm going to say metal edge wear. I'm going to actually bring this above everything else. And then I just realized I have to remove the edge weathering from all of these subgroups. Green paint, metal light, okay. White paint, okay, good. And then, there we go. Okay, metal edge wear, and then I'm going to add a paint layer, and my paint is going to be black so that I can mask out those little areas. Hello, holy crap! 65 viewers? Whoa! I did not expect that at almost midnight. Hello, Skaboodly. Scrub was asking if he could backport your work into Halo Wars 1. Oh, absolutely. When I'm finished with all of these models, I'm absolutely going to donate all of them to the community. There's going to be a massive, massive tag dump and repository. Everything I make, I fully intend to donate to the community so they can do whatever the hell they want with it. Yeah, that's just like my overall policy. I want to enhance the community and like all the fun stuff they can do. I'll get a different brush. More choppy brush. Wouldn't that make the gameplay so crunchy? All the details would be nutty, though. Banana Nanner Man, what do you mean by that? Yeah, I'm just masking out where the edge scuff would likely not be. Grunge? Dirt? Let's see if we can get a good dirt alpha. That seems good. Wait. Did I turn on symmetry? Is that symmetry? What does the symmetry look like again? I forgot. God, it really has been a while since I've had to mess with substance. I'm kind of scared how much I'm forgetting. It's nuts. Like all the detail on Halo Wars models in the game world would cause lag, no? Oh, yeah, so you're talking about the mesh quality. I don't know, I don't mod Halo Wars, but from what I've seen, people are porting straight up Reach models directly into Halo Wars without any real optimization, with like full textures and everything from what I see. So I guess the engine can handle it. Also, what I've discovered is in modding like the Halo games for MCC, what I'm finding out is like, because most people are running on like modern hardware, 20 years into the future, they can handle like ginormous poly counts just based off of hardware. The engine doesn't really seem to chug that much, just because of the brute force power of like most people's modern gaming machines. I'm sure that has like a limit at some point, and it's not quite that clear cut. But from doing a lot of testing, I've pushed like poly counts and seeing how many instance geometry and stuff I can cram into a scene, and like it's pretty impressive what you can get away with. So if that is true of MCC, I'm sure the same general idea can apply to Halo Wars on Steam. I mean, I'm just guessing. I could be totally wrong, but like, I don't know. It would definitely make sense. I changed my mind. I'll just watch the stream as I go to bed. Well, cool. Good to have you. Oh, snap, dude. I know that this panel right here is supposed to be dark, so let's see if we can... Green. Green paint. Metal light. Steel gun matte. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and add black mask. We are going to add a color selection to this guy. And we're actually going to put him above green paint. What? There we go. There we go. I knew something was wrong. Oh, wait, but that's not bare metal. That's supposed to be paint right there. Yeah, whatever. Hardness. Tolerance. Let's go ahead and add a filter. Blur. I'm actually gonna duplicate this. Excuse me. And then delete both of those. I just want like something under everything that is like a base level of dark metal. Yeah, Halo Wars 2 has an addictive modding scene from what I've seen. Halo Wars 2 or Halo Wars 1? Because from what I understand, Halo Wars 1 is the one with all the mods, and Halo Wars 2, I don't think you can mod, or at least you can't import meshes from what I've seen in Halo Wars 2. Did Halo Wars 1 ever get ported to PC? Yeah, you can buy it on Steam. Why are you like this? Maybe blur isn't the right thing there. Yeah, people have been throwing Halo Wars 2 assets into Halo Wars 1 for a long time now. Yeah. Alright, let's start adding some materials to the bomb bay. But real quick, there is one more material that I want to add. Metal. Metallic full. Roughness full. Just a blackout material. Black mask. Add color selection. Whoops. And there are certain parts of this model that I just want to be completely black. My old art director on Halo Infinite kind of got mad at me for using this kind of cop-out trick, but basically there's certain exposed parts that just kind of like lead to nowhere that I just feel too lazy to fully model out, and they're just like, they're so tucked away that nobody's gonna zoom in there ever. So I just like tend to make them completely black. just cause. But yeah. Yellow. You know what I'm gonna do? So I'm getting problems with my color ID mask because I didn't make it high contrast enough. So real quick, I'm going to go into Photoshop, and I'm going to do some fiddling with that color ID mask. Hang on. Data. Human short sword. Bake. There we go. Okay, so this is the actual color ID map that I initially baked out, and I just slapped on the actual colors. And what it's supposed to be is it's supposed to be like very high contrast and very saturated. That helps distinguish colors from each other. So, yeah, we're gonna work on that a bit. So let's increase the contrast and brightness a bit. Increase the tolerance. We're going to separate out all these colors. I should have just done this in Marmoset. But yeah, we're here now. So whatever. All right. Make this red. Very vibrant or bright red. Take the yellow. Make the yellow very freaking yellow. Take the green. Make it very green. I'm pretty sure those were pockmarks intended from combat damage. I don't know. I had a weird dimple all over. Wait, what? Somebody's telling a story. I'm completely out of the loop with Halo Infinite Edition. The last thing I heard was the big controversy with the fuel rod. So the fuel rod and like a lot of weapon stuff, they're just like kind of limited with what they can make. They making new assets is just, I'm not gonna get too terribly into detail, but making new assets is very difficult in Halo Infinite. A lot of stuff is just hard coded, and they really do have their hands tied behind their backs in terms of like what new things they can bring to the table. A big thing is animation. They just, a lot of stuff starts to make sense if you keep in mind the fact that they don't have, or at least at the time, I don't know how it is now, but at least at the time, they didn't have a whole lot of like animators on staff to do a lot of pretty critical things. So they just kind of had to make do with the existing weapons and dress them up and turn those existing weapons into other weapons, which is like kind of the Halo mod equivalent of like, you know, how a lot of modders who can't animate, they just like copy a weapon and they keep all the same animations as like the sniper rifle or something. And so that's what they did with the quote unquote fuel rod gun. Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, obviously we all want like the old school fuel rod, and they do too. It's just like that production had a lot of just limitations, mainly because of the engine and, you know, staffing and all sorts of stuff. But they made do. Similar story with the Falcon? Yes. That was the main reason the Falcon took so long to come out, was because, I mean, like, the Falcon requires so much in terms of unique animations. Because, I mean, like, it was... I remember playtesting it. It was, like, mostly finished for a very long time, and I kept asking, like, why can't we get it over the fence? And, like, it was a bunch of technical stuff that went over my head. There were reasons for it. It's just that, you know... Again, because of the engine being a little difficult to work with, actually very difficult to work with, and also animation, as well as probably a bunch of other factors I'm not privy to personally, it just, yeah, it just takes a long time to develop, like, full weapons and vehicles. But, I mean, like, that's why, like, I'm actually really excited for future projects being in Unreal, because it's like, dude, just speaking anecdotally from myself, working in Unreal is such a breeze. It really is hyper streamlined, and I love it. Speaking of engine, they called it Slipspace, but wasn't it basically still Blam, just upgraded a bunch? Literally every game engine is that. Literally, there's practically no such thing as a quote-unquote new game engine. What you have to realize is, like, almost every game engine in every new game is itself a derivative of another game engine that came before it. Because, I mean... writing and coding and programming an entire game engine completely from scratch that takes like multiple millions of dollars and like years of development. So what most game studios do is they just like have an in-house engine that works, and they just upgrade the living hell out of it until it is effectively a new engine. That's what they did in Fallout. That's what they do for like, you know, Unreal Tournament, or like on all of the Ubisoft games, what they do with Frostbite. And like in those studios, they literally call it like Frostbite 2 or 3 or whatever, CryEngine 2 or 3 or whatever. And Bungie did the same thing. You know, the Halo 3 engine is upgraded from the Halo 2 engine. The Halo Reach engine is an upgraded version of the Halo 3 engine. But obviously, the Halo 3 and Halo Reach engines are so different that they're quite distinct from each other. Fun fact, the first Destiny is technically running on a heavily modified version of the Reach engine, and so on and so forth. So, like, yeah, all game engines are derivative of each other, even if they had come with different names. And it's not that they're not distinct, but they all do have a lot of the same fundamental architecture. And also, it's like, with the Slipspace engine, you know, yeah, it was very different. They enhanced it wildly in certain respects, because you can push crazy amounts of polygons in the Slipspace engine. That it has going for it. And, like, they got the lighting to look, you know, when it came to, like, the shipped product, they got the lighting to look pretty decent. But obviously, like, there were corners cut in other ways. There was, like, in terms of, like, user interface for, like, the actual devs, basically the way it works is, unless you are like an actual engineer that has in-house knowledge of how the engine works, because again, like a lot of it, from what I understand, what I've been told, you know, don't take my word as complete gospel. I could be mistaken. I could be misinterpreting things. But from what I understand, a lot of the game was hard-coded. So if, say, I, as an artist who doesn't know coding, wants to fix or modify something, I can't, because I that's not my skill set. And there were a lot of just lack of in-game editing tools that, you know, you would come to expect at a lot of other studios. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know how it wound up that way, but that was the main reason for a lot of just the hurdles. Isn't that what they're doing for the Halo CE remake with an updated Reach engine with heights? I don't know. I think that's what they said they did. It's like Unreal with like mixed with the Reach engine. My personal opinion, and this is purely my personal opinion, like everything I know about the internals of the studio stopped, you know, after my contract ended. So I don't know. I don't have any insider information or anything past that. I did know that they were switching to Unreal, and that was like decided, like that was decided quite a while before I had parted, and I wasn't allowed to talk about it. But now it's out of the bag, so I can. It was so funny that they didn't want me to talk about it. Like I didn't talk about it, but it's like so funny how they were posting jobs for like, yeah, we need Unreal experts, but you're not allowed to talk about the fact that, you know, we were switching to Unreal. And I'm like, okay, I mean, yeah, but it's just really funny. NDAs be weird. But yeah, yeah, it's apparently going to be like a splice of like Reach in Unreal. I don't know how that's going to work. It reminds me of how they did the original Halo CE remastered, where like Unreal is overlaid on top for like the visuals. I guess they just want to play it safe and make sure that like the Halo physics is really on point. I remember the studio being really concerned, or not concerned, that's not the right word. They just really want to nail that Halo physics feel. You know, the physics in Halo is incredibly specific, and apparently that is like kind of difficult to replicate in other game engines. So I guess that's why they're doing that with the Reach engine. Personally, I would be dubious about that myself, because it just seems like needless complication. I feel like you could probably simulate good enough physics in Unreal, but they don't want to chance it, it seems. Which, you know, maybe that is the best idea. Yeah. True, I guess, but then you still have the issue of using an old engine not many new devs know. I mean, it's easy enough to pick up and learn, I guess, depending on the documentation. I think that just getting to work with Unreal will make it easier. I'm sorry, I have been distracted. I have not actually like done much in the way of like fixing this this color ID map. So let me focus on that for just a second. Yeah, I think it's gonna be okay. I'm so incredibly happy to just know that the next game is going to be Unreal. Because again, from personal experience, Unreal is just so much easier to work with. The way I describe Unreal is basically, so there's Unity and then there's Unreal, and essentially, at least from my experience, Unreal Engine is designed to be like a AAA action adventure shooter right out of the box and has everything you need to make it that. Whereas, like, something like Unity, it can be a AAA experience after about, like, $2,000 of plugins. But what the trade-off of that is, from what I understand, Unity is far more malleable in terms of, like, programming custom systems, whereas Unreal, like, if you wanted to create Battlefield 4 in Unreal, right? That would be incredibly difficult because Unreal, from what I have seen, and I've looked this up, they don't really have a way to do, like, boat combat. Like, to simulate, you know, boat physics in an interactive way and have like an interactive water, like, large scale water map, kind of like you had in Battlefield 4. You can simulate water, and it can interact with the player, but, like, having vehicles interact with water is very tricky. But you could probably write something custom to do that in Unity. So what are you doing here? Oh, give me 1 minute, you'll see. Yeah. I need to pick a different color. Pink, sure. Okay, that works. Hill curve, hill AO. Hull. Albedo Targa. Okay. I am painting the Shortsword from Halo Wars. Right now, I'm fixing the color ID map so that the colors get masked better. So I'm gonna go to Hull. Oh, let's change this from Smart Materials to... Yeah. That must be why the CE remake avoids letting the player go into the water at any point. I don't think that's related. Wait, the CE remake doesn't let players go into the water? I thought it was literally just, like, a reskin of the original. And you can still go in the water, I think. There's an invisible wall very close to the shore. Really? I could have swore I was, like, I went, like, way deep into the water on MCC. Huh. Reload. There we go. Okay. So now we go to texture set settings and we replace our color ID map, and that breaks things, but it's okay because we're just going to reassign them anyway. Okay, so metal light, green paint. Green paint, color selection. Okay, pick a color. Green. Now that color is masked way, way better. Metal light. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Green paint, steel matte. Steel matte, same there. And then hardness, tolerance. And then red paint. Also, there's a lot of extra islands and stuff they added in the water, so maybe they didn't want players in it. I seriously don't know if, like... I mean, I'd have to go back and play it and check. I really cannot remember there being any extra, like, invisible walls and stuff. I could be wrong, you know, like, I'm not saying you're wrong, I just, like, I don't remember off the top of my head. Hardness, tolerance. Let's go back to green paint, adjust that. There we go. Yellow. Wait, yellow. Black. I might have messed some stuff up. Oh, hello. Hull. There we go. I think that cleans it up. There we go. Oh, yeah. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Nice and clean. Okay. Now where did my Metalite Queenstone at? Ah. Need to change the color for here. And there we go. That's what I was trying to do earlier. Okay. What bothered me about the 343 hog design was that it became the only warthog we saw in the games or media, regardless of when they took place. Are you talking about the, like... Are you talking about, like, the Halo 4 warthog? Yeah, it was a retcon. Okay, well, I mean, like, technically any remaster, if it changes art style, is a retcon. I mean, I do generally agree. The Halo 4 hog is not my favorite hog. I prefer the, like, low polygon, you know, classic warthog. It's just iconic. But, you know, I guess, like, they might have realized that, like, the Halo 4/5/Infinite Warthog, like, it was not a bad Warthog design, but, like, it just didn't feel classic enough. I haven't even, like, looked too much at the new, hang on. Halo Campaign Evolved Warthog. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely some things about this new hog that I would change. It's not my favorite design, but it's also, like, you can at least tell they're trying to get back to that more, like, angled, low poly look, which I appreciate. It does, like, kind of like look a little weird, take me out of it. It's very minimalist. Which I don't know how I feel about. I think that they were trying to go for, like, the classic minimalism of it, but I think they might have, like... I think, like, the thing that would help this design is, like, angle the hood more, like it's kind of sloped. If they just make it, like, you know, an obtuse angle, then it would probably help. The wheels look really kind of too sci-fi is probably the wrong word. You got to understand, Halo's classic aesthetic is what's called cassette punk. It derives from the old Aliens movies, and so what they should have tried to do is stay within cassette punk territory for the redesign, whereas this is kind of like a hodgepodge of some more cyberpunk looking elements, as well as just thinking that like, oh, well, minimalism makes it look more classic. And I don't necessarily agree with that. You know what? I think that does describe most of what I see in the new campaign Evolved. I think it looks more cyberpunk than cassette punk, and I think that might be the main issue a lot of people have with it. Gotta go. See you, Tanner. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I'm probably gonna get off fairly soon. It is late, like I said, and tomorrow I gotta go house hunting. Okay. There we go. Oh, that's looking lovely. Overall, I like the new Warthog. If just a few things were tweaked, it would have been even better. Yeah, no, I agree. Like, you don't have to do much to like really bring it over the finish line. It is overall like really cool looking. I just, you know, it's just nitpicks. Which I mean, like, if people are griping about nitpicks, then you know you're in like the general ballpark of like it's good. You know, I would just push it a little bit further. The more retro-futuristic, kind of less busy design of CE Marines looks so good to me. I agree. Again, like everything in Halo CE is based almost directly off of Aliens, and the CE Marines had that like colonial Marines vibe, you know. The kind of like vacuum formed plate armor look, and the like, but they also had kind of loose-fitting BDUs, right? Like, that looked like they were made for tropical environments. It was really cool. Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna group all this stuff. Edgeware, except for the curvature overlay. Curvature and AO overlay do not go in with the rest of this stuff, but I am. I am gonna copy all of this stuff in here. Dun, 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 dun. Wait, what happened? What happened to my... What the hell? The hell? I think the way to get the consistency and accuracy with the Covenant is to keep their bodies like the Elite bodies, but remake the CE armor like they did with Chief. Oh, you want to remake the the Elite armor? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't disagree that would be cool as hell, but I think that, like, I remember, like, they did kind of want to, I don't know if to play it safe is the right word, but they just, like, wanted to, like, make sure to make the development of Campaign Evolved as efficient as possible. So it's like, there will almost definitely be unique designs for some of the enemies, depending. They might even add, like, who knows, they might even add cut content, like the engineers or something. That'd be really cool. But, like, I think that recycling infinite assets is the smart move. It saves time, it saves cost production, it saves so much work and effort, and the infinite models like are so good. Another thing is like I think they're trying to homogenize the art style to be more consistent across the games, and I think that like using the same assets from Infinite will help to do that, because I mean like look, the Infinite elites in like Grunts and Covenant and all that, they look good. They look really good. I'd say, honest to God, I think the Infinite elites are my favorite elites. They're based directly off of unused concept art from Halo Reach, which, I mean, how can you go wrong there? And just like their anatomy, their facial structure, it's pretty much perfect in my eyes. It's like, it's even better than the Halo 2 Anniversary elites, which is, you know, bold to say, but I don't know. That's my my take. Man, what is going on here? I really hope they add ODSTs into the game like the books had. Did the books have ODSTs on Installation 04? I didn't know that. Oh my god. Wait, I know what I'm doing wrong. Silly. Bum. You gotta put the dang ID map in, ya dangus. There we go. I love this song so much. It's one of my favorite tracks from Reach with the just like heavy metal strumming. Ah, it's so good. I would like to see new cut vehicles in the prequel missions with Johnson in the remake. We don't have to use them, but seeing them in the background scenery like the Wombat in Halo 3 ODST. Yeah, I mean, I am curious to see, how far they will go in introducing new content. Part of me says they want to keep it safe and just like, you know, do a straight remake, but another part of me wants to say like, you know, hey, we can really, you know, show what we're capable of when we, you know, have a fully functioning engine that's like got all these really cool tools, and like our entire pipeline is more streamlined with Unreal. We'll have to wait and see. I'm excited. I mean, I think they're gonna do something that's at least, you know, decent and fun, playable. And it's gonna, you know, obviously like Unreal is kind of the like just make look pretty button. So it's definitely gonna look freaking gorgeous regardless. It already looks pretty good, you know? Like, from what I saw, it's like, yep, that's an Unreal game. I do hope, though, that, like, you know, they leverage the art style, because it's like, it's so easy to just, like, plop around assets in Unreal, and it looks photorealistic and pretty and stuff, but, like, you know, Halo's art and aesthetic is all about how you leverage. Well, I mean, this is true of any video game. There's a difference between art and graphics, right? You can have a photorealistic game that, like, you know, has a million leaves on every tree, and like you can see the wetness in the mud on the ground and stuff like that, and you can have like volumetric fog and all this stuff. But it's like if that's all you're doing, then like every Unreal game looks like that, and you don't have any unique artistry to it. But like there are games that have very low graphical fidelity, but really, really phenomenal art design. Like, great example is Okami for, I don't even remember which console, it might have been GameCube, but like Okami was a game that had like pretty bare bones graphics, but superb art design. And like there's countless other games you can point to. But yeah, that is to say that, like, you know, it's all about, graphics are the canvas and, you know, art is the brush, and it's all about what you choose to do with that canvas and how smartly you utilize the technology to enhance the art. Yeah, the Pelican's chin gun being used for once. Okay, that is... Hot take, that might make things weird canonically, because I remember, like, in Halo CE, noticing that the Pelican didn't have any way to defend itself and getting shot at by dropships. And I'm like, well, now, if the Pelican has a chin gun, then how's that going to play out, you know? Is it really going to get, you know, ambushed by 2 Banshees if it can just, like, you know, gun them down? I don't know. That's a tiny little nitpick. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, but I don't know. It's food for thought. Okay, home. Red paint. Actually, screw it. I'm just gonna bring in the whole materials subfolder to details. Then check if, yeah, I got ID. White paint. Wait, no, don't do that. Do I have yellow paint in here at all? Nope, I just have red. So, get rid of yellow paint, white paint, red paint. Red paint, I'm gonna change this, pick a color, red, who'd have guessed? Oh my gosh, no. And then change that tolerance, goodness. There we go, that looks good. There we go, here we go. Yes, good, yeah. I don't know, my thought process is that if it has a chin gun, you can more visually display the superiority of the Covenant. You know, that's a good point. That's a good point. Like, a very common theme throughout Halo is like, yeah, the humans got all this badass tech, but the Covenant tech is way better, despite the humans having badass tech. Like, the Spartans can kill thousands of Covenant individually, like, but when you have, like, hundreds of thousands of Covenant, it doesn't really matter. And that's, like, the ultimate theme behind a lot of Halo stories. Like, I mean, Superman is freaking Superman, but even Superman can get overwhelmed eventually if you just, you know, keep throwing freaking monsters at him. Yeah. I actually really hope we get a full rework of the Warthog run. Yes, actually, no, that is a fantastic point. I hope they completely redesign the interior of the Pillar of Autumn to actually make some kind of logical sense. That would be phenomenal. I would love for them to, like, fully flesh out the interior of the Pillar of Autumn. I know that would be controversial because, like, that's such a... That mission is so iconic and near dear to fans' hearts, but at the same time, it makes zero sense whatsoever. And it's just a meme. But yeah, I don't know. I would prefer it. The difference in size between Covenant cruisers and corvettes and UNSC frigates really highlights the superiority of the Covenant's tech. Like, those things are friggin' huge. I don't know if it's Covenant's tech so much as the Covenant's material dominance in industry and how it dwarfs humanity's. Because, like, that's the thing. The Covenant controlled... If I'm getting, you know, steeped in the lore here. The Covenant was, like, a huge hegemon of different, like, cultures and alien races and civilizations and stuff. And they were, like, way more expansive. So they just, like, gobbled up more resources in the galaxy to build bigger and more ships. Like, in that case, it's not so much the technology to build big shit, because humanity could build big shit, right? Like, there are human structures that are bigger than the Infinity in the lore, but it's like, that takes that probably takes like an eighth of the entire budget of all humanity just to build one of those. Whereas the Covenant, it's like, that's like a Tuesday for them. Build a giant like CCS cruiser or whatever that's like the size of Manhattan. Easy, like rookie stuff, you know? Didn't somebody make a more sensible Warthog run but never finished it? I'm not sure. I really wish... Installation 00 is such a talented guy, and he's such a smart guy. I mean, like, he's teaching himself to, like, 3D print or build a quote-unquote practical real Spartan suit. I kind of wish he would teach himself modding. That would be really fun. We need more modders. We need more modders in the community. Like, I do all this stuff, but, like... And I have people helping me. I have people as part of my team in like my private Discord server. Well, I guess it's not private anymore. But like they're all really busy, and like time after time, I'm also really busy. I have a full-time job right now. And so the times I get to stream are like incredibly rare. If I could like make a full-time job out of this, like Rejected Shotgun does, I would do it in a heartbeat. If I could pay my rent doing this, I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. But like, because I can't at the moment, you know, there's so many times where I wish I could just like, you know, rely on somebody else who has the time to, you know, finish tags for me or do this or that, you know? But there's just like, there's only so many people in the community who have a working knowledge of like the Halo Reach mod tools and the 4 mod tools and stuff, you know? Let's see, Aiden Bauer 6049. I absolutely love the Halo Wars, and have been seeing some of your stuff. Really hope it goes well because this would be freaking awesome. Thank you for the support. Yeah, yeah, it's really fun for me. I am still doing this because I just freaking love it. I have so much fun making mods. It's like, it's honestly therapy for me in a way. It's just like one of the things I still enjoy doing in my adult life. Now that I'm not necessarily strictly in the games industry anymore. Yeah, I mean, like, it's no secret the games industry is pretty messed up right now. So I kind of like took a job at an engineering company, and I'm doing that right now. But I still do this on the side because it's just, you know, I kind of can't help myself. I love doing this. I can't imagine not doing this. And this is a project that I've been working on for years at this point. So, you know, might as well see it through. I really wish there was more documentation about the mod tools available. I know that there's Reclaimer websites. There's that Reclaimer website, but a lot of that is unfinished or anything other than C. Yeah, that's also just blame Bungie. They didn't think that they would ever need to educate like third-party studios. So it's like this was a time when you actually kept employees on long-term. Gee, like imagine that. That's just the general game industry these days doesn't do that. It's all contract. Every studio is like that. But like, yeah, Bungie was full of a lot of like very seasoned internal developers who just like had been working with the engine for years, and so they didn't think or the need to write a lot of that stuff down. Also, the Covenant would use extremely strong composites that I think were grown. Well, even now, we know how to make composite armor. We don't have the technology to use titanium plating. So, a cool thing about sci-fi, if you think about it, all of the minerals that we consider, like, rare, would basically, like, if you have casual, ubiquitous space travel, mineral obscurity is not a thing. Like, you would just find a planet or asteroid that's rich in like titanium or gold or palladium or platinum or whatever. Like, resource scarcity would practically not be a thing unless it's like just particular minerals or composites or compounds that are like fundamentally rare throughout the universe, right? So like, my big thing is like, well, in any situation where resource scarcity isn't a thing because of, you know, ubiquitous space travel, why don't the Marines have platinum armor plating? Because the platinum would be far more heat resistant, and the Covenant use almost exclusively heat-based weaponry. But yeah. Yeah, Halo has literally unlimited titanium because of space and sci-fi. Exactly. We have actually detected astronomical bodies that have like cores made of solid diamond, you know? And everybody's like, oh my god, imagine like how rich you could be, you know, mining an entire asteroid made of diamond, except, you know, or whatever mineral, like, you know, except if you actually get to mine the thing that has an abundance of the rare mineral, then the mineral is no longer rare and the value goes down. And that's another interesting aspect of it all. There's some companies trying to do so. Yeah, well, I mean, like, well, it's not just a very difficult thing to do. It is a sunk cost fallacy, like, mathematically. The thing is, no matter how efficient space travel gets, from a just basic math equation, you are never going to extract more resources than you invest just getting to the asteroid. You have to sacrifice. You basically, it's not like extraction, it's an exchange. You're exchanging ludicrous amounts of fuel to bring back a certain type of mineral, but you're using so much fuel. Anyway. But yeah, in terms of sci-fi, it's fun. Like, if you have magical, you know, slip space drives that can take you anywhere on infinite energy in your magical modular nuclear reactor or whatever, then yeah, it's fun to imagine. Man, what? I've got to be on the wrong layer. I am. Silly me. Yeah, again, I'm just going through and making sure I paint out the edge scuff from places where edge scuff does not belong. It doesn't make sense. Didn't humanity colonize Reach because of rich in titanium? I don't know. Probably. Jack Vance, yo! I am moderately versed in the lore, but not like an expert. I read Contact Harvest, which freaking awesome book, by the way. I have dreamt for years of like making a mod of Contact Harvest, like a campaign mod, fully fleshed out. See, like, hot take, that's what I think the next Halo game should be, is Contact Harvest. That would be so freaking cool. Can you imagine? See, my big thing about, like, where the Halo franchise should go is I think that they should honestly make more games set in the past, like, earlier in the timeline, because there's just so many really cool stories and settings you can explore. There's plenty to flesh out. There's questions to be answered. And there's like, you can literally, like, we have the books, literally just make the books like they did with Reach. Obviously, like, they changed a lot about the fall of Reach from the book to the game. But I think that that's okay because it's still just, it's content. There's less you have to make up. And it's like, you know, people will gripe about how accurate or inaccurate it is to the book, but it's still, you're getting a freaking Halo game that is already established lore. I think people would really go for that. Harvest would be a devastating storyline. Oh my god, it'd be It'd be crazy, because it's like, you think humanity was up against a wall, like, late in the war. The first contact was like, there was like, it was like shooting them, and it was just like bullets bouncing off of their energy shields and stuff. It's like, it was future shock for them. Yeah, we know Jack about the 2540s alone, for example. Exactly. You could explore so much stuff. If they want to make a more faithful Halo game, the perfect opportunity to do so, yeah. There are 3 new missions coming out of the campaign that are going to be earlier in the timeline? Oh, that is sick! Okay, I'm actually, like, really excited to hear that news. That makes me very excited. Okay. Short sword details. White paint. Details. Oh. Sergeant Johnson's confirmed to be in them too. Hell yeah. Was 3 of his 5 missions with Johnson before the events of Halo's. Dude, that would be sick. I would love that. At least we saw Chief in the Mark IV. We did? Wait, no. We did? When did we see Chief in the Mark IV? Chief in the Mark IV is going to be peak? When was that? For the 3 missions? Oh, yeah, that would make sense. I mean, like, I hope so. They might just give him the Mark V, because it's like... I mean, like, I think Reach is when he gets the Mark V armor. So they might have those 3 missions have him in the Mark V armor. Concept art for storyboards. It was a drawing of him in one of the trailers. They showed the storyboards for it in the dev talk. Okay, well, storyboards are not final. You got to realize that. Storyboards are very, very different from the final product. So I would say don't get too wrapped up in storyboards, because they are like the most, out of everything in the game, they are like the most subject to change besides just straight up concept art. So, you know, be careful with your tender little feelings. It might not pan out the way you think. Thirsty missions are completely original stories, not a retelling of known events. Interesting. I'm getting eepy. I'm getting eepy, you guys. Again, I am still astounded I have 53 watching at 1 a.m. on a Friday. That is phenomenal. Like, I can't thank you guys enough. Dude, this really encourages me. Like, the fact that I have this many watching at this time when I'm already, like, kind of dog-tired and ready to go to bed, that makes me think that if I put more effort and consistency into this channel, it could actually, like, grow a little bit. Man. That's wild to think about. I really do appreciate you guys. Yeah, and hey, I mean, like, it's totally up to you, but I do have a Ko-Fi linked in the chat, and I mean, like, the more I get from Ko-Fi, the more tempted I could be to do this full time. I'm just saying. You don't have to. Don't feel pressured. Your very presence is welcome, and it is a gift in and of itself. But yeah, Man, the thought of like just supporting myself doing exactly this is insanely enticing. If I could just have my rent paid, I would do this full time in a heartbeat. Ugh, I'm tired. I'm a sucker for modding in general, so this channel is an easy sell for me. Nice. Yeah, no, I am definitely the kind of person that spends more time modding a game than playing a game. Dude, The Witcher 3 was... it was a heavily addictive substance for me. I would spend so much time just installing mods that I would like, it would be like weeks before I actually played the freaking game and did quests. And now it's like, I'm pretty sure they have a mesh importer now. So it's like, if I dug back into modding Witcher 3 again, I would have like so many custom armors and swords and crap. God. I could probably make a dragon for Witcher. Oh God. I also enjoy your takes on game industry stuff. Yeah, thank you. It's I try not to go too off the rails, you know. I try to keep it relatively professional. Because it's like, I do still want to have a career in the game industry, you know, if there's a game industry left, you know. So it's like, I just try to be realistic, if that makes sense. Obviously, there's a lot to complain about, and like, especially being a former 343 dev, there's plenty to complain about, both for the studio and like, you know, the community can get a little but I try to be diplomatic and cordial and realistic, especially when like the community gets a little too crazy or a little too harsh. I just be like, okay, I'm gonna try to filter out the noise and toxicity and try to get at the root of like, what are they actually saying? What are they actually complaining about? And it's like, I'm gonna try to narrow it down to the valid complaints and take that to heart. And like, when I worked there, I was like, yeah, I think people are a little kind of overblown about this or that, but I still think we should try to fix this or that. That makes sense to be upset about, or at least, you know, that is something that needs to objectively improve. So, it's all a balancing act. It's a balancing act of checking biases and wanting to do better, but also, you know, having insider knowledge of what's actually possible and what's not. Yeah, it's tough. We should always remember the games are made by people. I mean, they're trying to change that with AI, but yes. They are still, for the most part, made by people. Yes, and it is good and important to remember that. I feel more often than not, it's almost always the directors or shareholders we're mad at. The devs actually making the things we know are in it for the best reasons. You are 1000% correct. I can guarantee you every single employee at like 343 or Bethesda or Naughty Dog or whatever, every like in the trenches dev that's like actually writing the code, making the models, rigging the animations, all of those people have almost the exact same taste that you do, and they want to do the exact same things that you do. Like every time the community complains, like internally, quietly, the in the trenches devs have the exact same complaints and desires. But yeah, like we're on a budget, we're on a schedule, things have to get done on time, and it's like we're not in charge of how much budget or schedule we get, so we have to make do with what we're given. So, yeah, we do our best. I saw a lot of issues with Infinite due to Microsoft contract worker policy, making the Slipspace engine more difficult to work with. Yeah, no, I am literally the product of that. I was a year and a half contract. I had a fantastic time. Don't get me wrong. Like I was, and I'm not even like gassing them up or anything like that. Like genuinely, it was the best experience of my career. Like in terms of company culture, everybody had each other's back. Everybody was very, very anti-crunch. They didn't want you to burn yourself out. Like the people there were freaking awesome. They were phenomenal. At least from my department, from my anecdotal experience individually, I was treated very well, surprisingly well. I expected it to be way worse, and it was not. But yeah. Yeah, the slip space engine was just, yeah, it had a lot of like very big barriers and hurdles that just could not be overcome. And it's like the thing is, like, the engine is just so difficult to work with that even if you brought back every single original developer of the engine, even if you had unlimited budget, unlimited time, you still probably couldn't fix Infinite to be the game it was envisioned to be, because it's just a sunk cost fallacy. And literally everything would be easier moving to Unreal, which is what they did. You know, so it's like ripping off a horrible Band-Aid, but it is ultimately necessary at the end of the day, and it is the right decision, at least from my perspective. If it had mod support, like, would it be #1 Halo game mod? I feel like that would be so cool. Although my personal opinion is I feel like it would be better served if they just like laid the groundwork now for the next game to have mod support, because mod support for Unreal would explode, because Unreal is vastly easier to work with. Then you would have a community of modders that don't have to learn the proprietary Halo engine. They could just learn Unreal. And Unreal tutorials are free and available and abundant everywhere. People are doing insane things in Unreal. Dude, like, the mod scene would absolutely explode if they would just, like, focus time and energy and resources into creating a mod ecosystem for the next Halo game, like from the ground up. You know, all the things that we wanted to happen with MCC, they could actually have the opportunity to do with the next Halo game and lay the groundwork. I would love to see Halo 5 PC mod support, decoupled armor pieces. Yeah, but it's like, honestly, and this is just my personal take, that's just way too much cost for not nearly enough benefit. Like, Halo 5 simply does not have the marketing drive for that. I'm sorry to say it, but it just doesn't. It's got its fans, it's got its detractors, but it's like it is like the least popular Halo game. And like, I mean that just, you know, not to hurt anybody's feelings, that's just kind of an objective, measurable fact. I'm not even saying like it's a good game or a bad game. It's just statistically the least popular. And so trying to sell that, to commit the time and resources and budget for that, yeah, I just don't know, unfortunately. It would be awesome to see, you know, I agree. It would be fantastic, but... Halo 5 is my least favorite, but it's sad that it's a part of the Halo story, not on PC. Yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think anybody would, like, be mad that it would be ported to PC. If anything, it's like, it could be given new life, and especially with mod tools, God, it'd be insane, because the Halo 5 engine is really advanced. It's probably more advanced than 4. What was the reason they game for not including 5 in MCC? I don't know, honestly. I'm really, really not sure. I think it's because, like, Halo 5 is, like, the main story isn't technically supposed to be about Master Chief. It's supposed to be about Locke, but it's also about Master... I don't know. I really can't tell you, to be honest. Maybe it's just like they didn't want to bite off more than they could chew. They already kind of almost did that just by including Halo 4 and Halo Reach. Like, going outside the original trilogy was already a pretty monumental undertaking. Yeah, Halo 5 was brand new when MCC came out. That might be another reason for it, yeah. Didn't MCC come out before Halo 5, or am I crazy? I didn't play MCC when it first came out, originally, so I don't even know. Yes. 2014. Yeah, because Halo 5 was 2015, right? If I can remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. Well, we've made lots of progress. There might still be a few little things to update and add to this, but I feel like for the most part, well, actually, let's see if we can drop a dirt layer on this guy. Shortsword hull. Details. Where's dirt? Dirt, 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 dirt. Dirt. Okay. I'm gonna copy the dirt, put it on the Bombay material. Materials. Dirt. Dirt. Where's my dirt? Dirt, dirt, dirt. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. Let's go ahead and just crank up the resolution on everything to get the nice screenshot. And then I'm probably gonna go off to bed. Any recommendations to learn modeling as a mostly complete beginner? Yes, Blender. So my main tool of choice is Autodesk 3ds Max, but that's only because I'm in the game industry as a professional artist. If you want it, okay, so this conversation, and I've had this conversation a million times with like students and stuff. This conversation starts with a question, and that question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to be an indie developer, or do you want to go into AAA? You want to break into the game industry? And also, what do you want to do? Do you want to do animation? Do you want to be a generalist, or do you want to strictly do 3D? And then, after that question is answered, what specific discipline do you want to do? Do you want to do environment art? Do you want to do modular props? Do you want to do landscapes? Do you want to do characters? Do you want to do weapons? Do you want to do vehicles? There's a lot of like sub questions. And depending on those answers, I can recommend specific tools and specific disciplines to hone in on. But really, it all starts with, what do you want to do? I want to make mods, to be honest, and make an N64 style indie game in the future. All you need is Blender. Just use Blender. So Blender can absolutely do stuff like that. Yeah. Gonna be honest, I'm a AAA developer, so I would not be the best source of information on how to make like N64 retro style games, but there are tons of channels out there you can like look at to teach you how to make like old school, low poly, low res textures that look like indistinguishable from like Dreamcast and stuff. So I'd recommend that. Odd questions. Is there a cockpit interior to the Shortsword? Yes, there is. Let me show it to you. Let's see. Let's go. Forge Halo scenario. All right. I'll show you the cockpit in a second when it loads. This is looking pretty good. Shortsword details. Shortsword Bombay. Let's crank it up to 4096 because why not? All right. Now, let's try render. Iray warming up. So is Forge World. There we go. Okay. Oh god, how do I remove the background again? Environment settings. Environment exposure, environment rotation, environment world. Dome. Sphere. Clear color. That's it. That's what I want. Oh, Substance and your beautiful Iray render. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Little. Okay, Forge World. You wanted to see the Shortsword cockpit. Here it is. So this is entirely kit bashed from a mix of the Reach Pelican and the Halo CE Anniversary Longsword. Every single thing in here is kit bashed. From the seat to the monitors to the walls, the pipes. It is all totally kit bashed. I ripped the textures, I ripped little chunks out of the Pelican and Longsword, and I stitched them all together to make this monstrosity. And you can even kind of see a little bit inside. And then, so there's a little hatchback here behind the seat that is going to have a ladder that extends down. It's going to be a little step ladder. You can see it in here. Yeah, the little steps. And yeah. Any chance you might make a black, dark gray version of the Shortsword to match the traditional longswords, maybe? Ooh, that's not a bad idea. But yeah, whee! Let's do a bombing run real quick. Hell yeah. And then, if any of y'all have ever played around with a saber on Forge World, you'll know that you cannot get out of the saber without literally killing yourself. So, it's going too fast. So, I did a fun thing, and I made it so where you can actually land. And you can get out! Holy crap! Yes. Ain't that cool? Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Ah. Oh, fuck. Whoop. But yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be so fun to have the Falcata and the short swords flying around. Oh, man. I haven't even animated this thing properly yet. Any thoughts on making vehicles from Halo's concept art? Yes, eventually I will. There are several vehicles and cut content. By the way, I am part of DigSite. I don't know how many of you guys know that, but I'm on the dig site team, and there's a number of projects that I'm going to be working on in the background. And hopefully, in the next Halo Fest showcase, you might see some fun little things. I cannot stream them, unfortunately, just due to the nature of dig site, but that's another reason why like it could really help to get some donos, is to help incentivize me. God, there's just so much I want to do, man. There's so much I want to do in order to finish these mods and just complete the projects I want. And like, it really would require a full-time schedule, and I want to work a full-time schedule. I would work 100 hours a week if this could support me. But yeah. So, in any case, I'm rambling. Yes. So, you're talking about dig site, and I am part of dig site, and I will make dig site things. All right. It is 1 o'clock in the freaking AM. So I'm going to be signing off. Thank you everybody for joining me. This was kind of an impromptu stream, and I started streaming really late. But again, I'm just like kind of blown away at how many people stuck with it and are here now. So I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching me kind of like, go through my process. And I will see you all again very soon. Ciao.